Good evening and welcome to the Township of Springwater's User Fees and Charges Information Session and Public Consultation. I am Deputy Treasurer Wislenko and will be presenting this evening. We also have with us Director Ainsworth, Director Heron, Deputy Chief French, Manager Ha, and Supervisor Kellington. Next slide. The purpose of this information session and public consultation is to provide an in-depth review of the fees and charges being proposed for 2024 and to obtain feedback and input from residents and stakeholders of the Township of Springwater. Services that will be included within this presentation cover municipal law enforcement, clerks, finance, fire, planning, public works, and cemeteries. The presentation slides will highlight new fees that have been added to the fee structure based on the recommendations through the 2022 Comprehensive Fees and Charges Review. The changes to the existing fees will be discussed within each department slide. For anyone attending in person, hard copies of the fee schedules are available. For anyone attending virtually, copies of the fee schedules and documentation is available on our website at springwater.ca/fees. Any changes to the existing fees that have increased over 75% have been phased in over 2024 and 2025 and are outlined in the schedules. Building services, development charges, and parks, recreation, and facilities will not be included within this presentation. We will stop for questions after each department is presented. For any questions that we do not have an immediate answer for, Director Ainsworth will record your question and take contact information after the presentation. Next slide. On December 16th, 2021, Council approved Program Change Number 3, Fees and Charges Study as part of the 2022 budget to be funded through the Tax Rate Stabilization Reserve. At its regular meeting of Council on May 4th, 2022, Council awarded the Comprehensive Fees and Charges Review to Watson and Associates Economists, Inc. Throughout 2022, Watson and Associates undertook the Comprehensive Fees and Charges Review of the Township's user fees and charges, developing multiple methodologies and demonstrated a good understanding of the Township's goals. On December 21st, 2022, Watson and Associates presented the review study to Council prior to finalizing recommendations in the study. At its regular meeting of Council on February 15th, 2023, the User Fees and Charges Bylaw 2023-017 was passed with the recommended changes and additions, phasing in any changes increasing more than 75%. At its regular meeting of Council on May 3rd, 2023, changes to the fee structure to conduct further consultation was paused, excluding building services and development charges. Next slide. Prior to the 2022 Comprehensive Fees and Charges Review, a comprehensive review of this extent had not been undertaken by the Township for over 10 years. User fees and charges allow the Township to recover the expenditures created by single-use services that are unbudgeted and will relieve the financial impact placed on reserves and taxation. Some of the objectives of the Fees and Charges Review is to assess the full cost of services and recommend fee structure improvements that balance the Township's need to maximize cost recovery and decrease the tax burden with stakeholders' interests and the affordability and competitiveness of fees. Watson developed an activity-based costing model to substantiate the full costs of each service within the scope of this review. An activity-based costing methodology assigns an organization's resource costs through activities to the services provided to the public. This approach better identifies the true costs associated with processing activities for specific application types, and thus is an ideal method for determining the full cost of processing applications and other user fee activities. Watson performed a comprehensive assessment of each business unit's direct involvement in a service by mapping each costing category and tracking the relative staff processing efforts throughout a complete full cycle process. This method helps to acknowledge not only the direct costs, but also the operating, and capital support costs required by those resources to provide services. Through the review, additional sources of revenue were identified. Next slide. Section 69 of the Planning Act allows municipalities to impose fees through a bylaw for the purposes of processing planning applications. Planning application fees governed by Section 69 of the Planning Act have been designed to recover only the anticipated processing costs of each type of application. By moving forward with the recommended changes and additions to the planning fee structure, revenue is projected to increase by approximately $166,885. Overall cost recovery for planning is projected to increase from 62 to 96% of annual costs. Site plan agreements and official plan amendments were previously charged on the basis of being a major application versus a minor application type. It has been recommended that these be charged on the basis of a base fee. We will now review the schedule that's been provided by hard copy or online through springwater.ca/fees to review the changes to existing fees within the fee structure. So on Schedule G planning, major and minor official plan amendments fees have been removed and replaced with the official plan amendment base fee of $5,768. As this did exceed the increase of 75%, this has been distributed between 2024 and 2025. So the 2024 fee would be proposed for $5,000. Zoning bylaw amendment major has increased from $3,000 to $5,768 for an increase of $2,768 in total, or 92%. This has been phased in between 2024 and 2025 for $4,384 for the 2024 fee. Zoning bylaw amendment minor, a current fee is $1,500 and the recommended fee is going to be $2,575, an increase of $1,075 or 72%. So the 2024 fee would be $2,575. Zoning bylaw amendment, lifting of holding a provision, has increased from $500, is proposed to be increasing from $500 to $1,545. The $1,045 increase, or 209%, has been distributed between 2024 and 2025, and the 2024 fee would be $1,023. Zoning bylaw amendment, temporary use bylaw. The current fee of $1,500 has been proposed to increase to $2,575. The $1,075 increase, or 72%, being that the 2024 fee would be $2,575. We will not review some of the smaller increases, so we'll proceed down to the subdivision section. So the subdivision application fee, or base fee, will be increasing from $5,000 to $7,210. So an overall increase of $2,210 or 44%. The fee per unit above 20 will be increasing by $5. Maximum fee increase will be increasing from $30,000 to $36,050, an overall increase of $6,050 or 20%. Agreement clearance of draft plan conditions fee, the base fee will be increasing from $5,000 to $7,210, an overall increase of $2,210 or 44%. And again, the fee per unit above 20 will be increasing by $5. The maximum fee stated is the same as the maximum fee above, for an increase of $6,050. Subdivision red line revision. The current fee of $2,000 will be increasing to $4,120 for a total increase of $2,120, or a percentage of 106%, distributed between 2024 and 2025. So the 2024 fee would be proposed for $3,060. Subdivision extension of draft plan approval. will be increasing from $1,000 to $2,060. The overall increase of $1,060 represents 106%. Distributed between 2024 and 2025, the 2024 fee is being proposed for $1,530. Model home agreement, pre-servicing agreement, tree clearing agreement will remain at $2,575. Moving on to the Committee of Adjustments. The consent will be increasing from $1,100 to $2,575. The overall increase of $1,475 represents a 134% increase. So it's being distributed between 2024 and 2025 for a 2024 fee of $1,838. Moving on to the Committee of Adjustments deferral request. The increase overall is $530, 106% distributed between the 2 years. Will be a 2024 fee of $765. The Committee of Adjustments consent agreement is to remain at $5,150. Other applications, the plan of condominium has increased from $4,000 to $4,635, total increase of $635 or 16%. The preliminary development application will be proposed to increase from $400 to $2,112, an overall increase of $1,712 for 428%. The 2024 fee proposed would be $1,256. Telecommunications tower application, it'd be increasing from $1,500 to $2,575. The total increase of $1,075 or 72%. Compliance letters for zoning, subdivision, and commercial will be increasing from $50 to $155 for a 209% increase. So the 2024 fee would be $103. And for the rush fee for that service will also be increasing by 209%. So the 2024 fee will be $205. The pre-consultation will be increasing from $250 to $927 for a total increase of $677 or 271%. The 2024 proposed fee is $589. And those are the increases within the planning department. The additions, I apologize. In addition to the fee increases, the following fees were recommended to be added to the fee structure, which is the consent agreement at $5,150, the condominium exemption at $1,803, the preliminary zoning letter for the MVCA is $155, private MZO support request of $2,678, the deeming bylaw of $2,112, and any legal engineering, hydrology, hydrogeology, environmental, and landscape consultants required to be retained by the township would be recovered at the actual cost plus a 15% administrative charge. Next slide. Oh, I apologize. Is there any questions for the planning department? Yes.
Actually, I do have a question. On the new fee structure where it's shown as new, I just wondering why they're not being staged for implementation, because we didn't have that fee before and now all of a sudden this fee. Thank you.
The fee exists, so that would be a question that I would have is that is not something that should all be phased in since it didn't exist and some of them are fairly substantial. So that was my question.
Absolutely. That is something that if it would be wished by council to have those phased in, that we could bring that forward as part of the report. That would be coming for the April 7th, nope. the March 20th or March 3rd council meeting. For one of the next council meetings. Any further questions? Section 391 of the Municipal Act. Yes.
Actually, thank you.
Actually, I do. With respect to the plan of subdivision, I just kind of trying to find out why there's a cap on it, depending on the size of the subdivision. It seems to me that if it's a rather large subdivision, they seem to be getting a bit of a break over someone that would max out at that number, and then someone who actually goes over that figure. So maybe we could have some light on that. And then I have one more question after that.
Okay, I will redirect your question to Director Heron if you'd be able to.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's a ratio of scale. There's a base fee, and then the dimension or the size is there's a charge based on number of units. I think it's $150 per unit. But when it comes to processing an application, whether it's 25 units or 180 units, when you get into the details of the Planning Act and engineering details, it tends to become a wash. So it's not reasonable to keep adding to the fees when in all practicality, we can process an application for that $36,000 cap, whether it's really large at 700 units or whether it's 35 units. We can do those at about the same time frame. So it's trying not to gouge the public and to keep it reasonable. So that's why there's a cap in there.
Okay, so for me to recap, basically what I'm hearing is there basically comes a threshold that basically that's the most that would ever be needed, even if there were more units to be included, correct?
There are always outliers. And in all practicality, if you look at applications on the bell curve, the fees tend to capture the very middle of the bell curve. And there's typically, I'm not sure if the Watson report actually did this, but there's an approach of you win some, you lose some. So some applications will come in less than the fees you charge, and some applications will come in more than the fees you charge. So there's always a balance in there, and you try to keep that less than more sum as tight as possible. So you're not being unfair to the people who are paying more than they should, but you're not being unfair by overcharging others.
Do you want the mic back? It's just the fairness part. Thanks for including that. It's been answered.
Thank you, Director Heron. Any further questions? Okay. Section 391 of the Municipal Act 2001 provides municipalities and local boards with broad powers to impose fees and charges via passage of a bylaw, including for services or activities provided or done by or on behalf of it. The administrative services includes clerks, business licenses, finance, municipal law enforcement, special events, and signs. With the proposed changes and additions, administrative services projected revenue would see an increase of approximately $91,469. The overall cost recovery is projected to increase from 39% to 88% of annual costs. Based on market comparators, there are no recommended revisions or additions related to municipal law enforcement, special events, or sign fees. We will now move on to reviewing the reviewing the changes, including increases to the clerks, finance, and business license sections. So within the finance, the statement of account fees are to increase from $10 to $15. Add unpaid balance to property tax roll, utility and or accounts receivable is to increase from $10 to $15. Mortgage company account administration fee is to increase from $7 to $10. In addition to the fee increases, the following fees were recommended to be added to the fee structure for finance. A tax ownership change of $10. New tax account setup per property is $30. Overdue tax notices for $7. Administration fees on subdivider accounts, $20. WAMCO appointment fee for anybody that's a no-show will be $18. Final meter readings of $25. New property water account setup fee for $20 and new account fee of $20. I apologize, I've missed the clerk's department. So we're just gonna go back one schedule and review the clerks. Burial permits are proposed to increase from $15 from the current $10 fee. In addition to the fee increases, the following fees were recommended to be added to the fee structure. A municipal clearance letters LLBO for $50 and routine disclosures for $30. For business licenses, hobby or boarding kennel to increase for from $200 to $270. Seasonal recreation campground to increase from $200 to $270. Seasonal park model trailer campground to increase from $200 to $270. And annual refreshment vehicle license to increase from $300 to $360. Is there any questions for administrative services? Next slide, please. Public Works, formerly Infrastructure and Operational Services, includes roads and fleet and water and wastewater services, excluding the rates. With the proposed changes and additions, roads and fleet projected revenue would see an increase of approximately $125,762. The overall cost recovery is projected to increase from 56% to 91% of annual costs. There are no recommended additions for roads and fleet. Water and wastewater projected revenue would see an increase of approximately $3,636. So we'll review Schedule I, Public Works Services. The entrance permit for new will be increasing from $75 to $144, a $69 increase, being 92%. So the 2024 fee of $109.50. Excess load permit, a single move permit, will be increasing from $50 to $103 for a $53 increase of 106%. The 2024 fee would be $76.50. The annual permit increase of $127 or 42%. The 2024 fee will be $427. A special annual permit increase of $127 or 42%. The 2024 proposed fee is $427. Under cut and fill permit, expired permit renewal, there is an increase of $83 or 42% for the 2024 proposed fee of $283. Engineering site inspection, post-application approval, increase from $250 to $515, the increase of $265 of 106%, as this is over the 75%, would be distributed between 2024 and 2025. The 2024 fee would be $382.50. The administration fee for any legal, engineering, hydrology, hydrogeology, environmental, and landscape consultants required to be retained by the township would be increasing from a 15% administrative charge to a 25% administrative charge above the actual cost recovery. The 2024 would be actual cost plus a 25% administrative charge. Through to the right of way, temporary road occupancy would be increasing by $34 or 31% for the 2024 fee of $144. Temporary road occupancy permit with road cut increase of $411 or 137%. The 2024 fee would be $505.50. Moving to water and wastewater. The water meter residential increase of $315 or 59%. So the 2024 fee would be proposed for $845. The pressure reducing valve would increase of $73 or 75% distributed between the 2 years. The 2024 fee is being proposed for $133.50. The new fee being added to the public works schedule would be the disconnection for non-compliance of $757. Is there any questions for the Public Works Departments? Moving on to the next slide. Other services within this presentation include fire and emergency services and cemeteries. With the proposed changes and additions, fire and emergency services projected revenue would see an increase of approximately $13,321. The overall cost recovery is projected to increase from 24 to 31% of annual costs. There are no recommended additions for the fire and emergency response services. We will review briefly the Schedule E for fire. Some of the increases that are seen under administration, so letter of compliance, commercial industrial inspection under 20,000 square feet to increase by $38 or 48% for a 2024 fee of $118. Letters of compliance, commercial industrial inspection over 20,000 square feet to increase by $41 or 26% for a 2024 fee of $201. Under the inspections prevention training section, the residential inspection under 12 units is to increase by $162 or 203% for a 2024 fee of $161. Daycare foster home inspections increased by $162 or 203% for the 2024 fee of $161. Plans examination per hour. The fee is increasing by $110 or 220% for the 2024 fee of $105. The propane plan review first time per hour increase of $80 or 100% for a 2024 fee of $120. Liquor license inspection increase of $80 for 100%. The 2024 fee is $120. Respiratory FIT testing per person increase of $23 or 77%. So the 2024 fee is proposed for $42. Within the permits, both the recreational and open air burn permits are increasing from $15 to $21 for an increase of $6 or 40%. The 2024 fee for both is $21. Within the emergency response section, the elevator rescue third event in year is increasing by $117 or 39% for a 2024 fee of $417. The fire alarm third event in a year increasing equivalent. So the increase of $117 or 39% for a 2024 fee of $417. Does anybody have any questions on the fire services? So moving on to the Schedule J cemeteries. So a purchase of interment rights. The full grave lot increase of $73 or 10% for a 2024 fee of $773. Cremation in-ground lot increase of $73 or 10% for $773. Corner post full grave or lot increase of $21 or 11% for a 2024 fee of $221. Purchase of intermittent rights columbarium niche, A, top, and B, both increasing from $1,800 to $1,957. The $157 increase or 9%. Both in purchase of intermittent rights columbarium niche C and D bottom, $1,600 fee will be increasing to $1,751. The $151 increase of 9%. interment burial fees, opening and closing, full casket burial, regular working hours, weekdays 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., increasing by $276 or 46% for the 2024 fee of $876. Weekdays after 4:30 p.m., no burials after 5:30 p.m., increasing by $433 or 62% to $1,133. Saturdays, no burials after 4 p.m., increasing $642 or 80% for the 2024 fee of $1,121. Cremated remains in ground and columbarium. Regular working hours, weekdays 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Increase of $276 or 46% for a 2024 fee of $876. Weekdays after 4:30 p.m., no burials after 5:30 p.m. Increase of $433 or 62% for $1,133. I just read the same thing. I apologize. I'm going off track now. Weekdays after 4:30 p.m. for the cremated remains in ground lots and columbarium, increase of $165 or 47% for $515. Saturdays, no burials after 4 p.m., $168 increase or 37% for a $618 fee for 2024. Disinterment fees, full grave or lot, increase of $1,060 or 160% distributed between 2024 and 2025 for a 2024 fee of $1,530. A cremation increase of $292 or 106% for a 2024 fee of $421. For other charges, use of winter storage vault, an increase of, should actually state $53. So increasing from $80 to $103 for a $53 increase of 29% for a 2024 fee of $103. Use of winter storage vault. I apologize, just one moment. We will have to update the schedules and provide further clarification for the duplication of use of winter storage vaults. That would be presented within the report for council. Transfer of interment rights, increasing by $106 or 106%. The 2024 fee is proposed for $153. With the proposed changes and additions, cemeteries' projected revenue would see an increase of approximately $7,558. The overall cost recovery is projected to increase from 84% to 100% of annual costs. Are there any questions for cemeteries? Next slide, please. Watson and Associates has estimated that based on the recommended fees and charges revisions and additions, excluding building, parks, recreation, and facility services, the Township of Springwater could anticipate potential additional revenue of up to $408,905, which is presented on the next slide. The overall cost recovery, excluding building, parks and recreation and facilities services, to increase from 50% to 80% of annual costs. Implementing the fee recommendation would increase user fee revenue for the included services by 65%, providing an additional revenue of $408,905, thereby decreasing the property tax funding required to support the provision of these services. Next slide. This chart provides a breakdown by service area for the projected revenue increase from the proposed user fees and charges. The overall projected revenue would see an increase of approximately $408,905. The overall cost recovery is projected to increase from 50% to 80% of annual costs for the services within the service areas. Next slide. And we want to hear from you. The opportunity to provide written comments will remain open until March 15th. Please submit comments by regular mail or email to the contact information within this slide or through the webpage at springwater.ca/fees. We will now open the floor to any questions and thank everyone for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Deputy Wislenko. So just to outline next steps, once the commenting period is closed, staff will review any comments submitted and report back to council with these specific sections and departments in April. There will be further consultation further in the year regarding recreation parks and facilities that will be hosted completely separately. So you will see that coming in the near future. But as of right now, this section will be presented to council over the next month to seek their direction on how they would like to move forward.
We're just going to give it a brief moment as there are some other guests joining us. Welcome to the user fees and charges public consultation information session. Do you guys have any questions for the evening that you'd like to focus on? No? Okay. I do apologize as you have just missed the presentation. So that's okay. It will also be available online. And if you have any further questions after, you're welcome to ask staff that are available. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us.